Now, let's chat to Daisy Cousens about trending now. Well, Daisy, I think I can guess what's trending now.
Certainly, you guessed it, Boris Johnson is trending like crazy, and so many derivatives of the name Boris. You've got Boris trending, Johnson trending, Boris Johnson trending, Bojo is trending. I saw someone mentioning Gojo, which is quite funny, but certainly lots and lots of people are talking about it. And I'm actually surprised, Rowan, because Twitter is such a lefty hellscape. I expected that most people to be, sod off Boris. I saw some very rude comments about him, of course, but there's actually quite a mixture of reactions. There are a number of conservatives there who are actually quite sad to see him go, and they keep bringing up Brexit, for instance. And yes, he did manage to somewhat deliver that after a lot of back and forth, shall we say? But yeah, generally people are pretty happy about it, and it's quite a fascinating thing. Boris Johnson reminds me a bit of Scott Morrison in the fact that he came on as this very sort of promising conservative, all of that, rah, 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 anti-climate change, pro-coal. But then he just it's like his brain snapped and he suddenly fell into this climate change trap. Nobody really knows why. I've seen people theorising that maybe it was something to do with marrying Carrie Johnson, God bless her, because she's such a kind of,
Carrie Simmons, yeah, Carrie Simmons.
Carrie Simmons, yeah, now Carrie Johnson. But yeah, it's so strange. The flip, so it's almost like he tried to out-left the left. And of course, as we know from our Liberal Party, you cannot out-left the left, or you because they do leftism much better than anyone else. So look, you know what I reckon, Rowan? What's really done this with the public was Partygate. I think those parties that he held, even though, yes, they might have been small during the lockdowns, that to the general public, I think, is quite unforgivable. I mean, they went through really what we went through with COVID, this ridiculous draconian response. Can you imagine how we would all have felt if our parliamentarians had been caught doing that? I think that really is what has been the crux of it, at least for the general public. But look, Rowan, I think all around, all we can say is that Boris Johnson has been a very, very naughty boy, and this is unfortunately for him his punishment.
Well, Daisy, I don't know if you remember, but many years ago you and I met at a very small gathering, which was the night that the vote went through. Hardly anybody in Australia was celebrating. There was a small group of us. John O'Sullivan from Quadrant magazine invited all those Brexit fans. John Howard was there and a few other people. It was a great night. But
Tim Blair was there.
That's right. It was a great night. And the hopes of Brexit at that point in time was just, it seemed like the world had changed, that the left was on the march, that we'd got rid of all the globalists, and finally someone was striking a blow. The British people were striking a blow for independence, for nationality, for national sovereignty, for less red tape, for making your own laws, making your own rules, deciding who comes into your country or doesn't. All those sorts of things, they were there. Yet now, all these years later, some of it's been delivered, but not much at all. We have Boris Johnson, who has seen more, as I'm sure Nigel Farage will be talking to Paul Murray and shortly on the Paul Murray Live show. Boris has done nothing on immigration, despite being a fan of Tony Abbott's Stop the Boats policy. He's done nothing. And it has been left to Nigel Farage to document the endless boat arrivals that are pouring across the Channel, being escorted by the French onto British soil. I mean, this is how insane it is there. Boris Johnson did nothing on that. As you said, he's been a complete joke on climate change and so many other things. He's certainly not an heir to Margaret Thatcher. But Daisy, what do you think, just briefly, how do you think Twitter will react to whoever replaces him? What's it going to be? How's it going to go?
Oh, they're going to try and virtually murder them. Like, it's absolutely not going to be pretty. I mean, the left sees this as an absolute massive victory, getting rid of Boris Johnson, because they have hated him so for the exact reasons that you said. The left was on the march, back in 2016, and then Brexit and the Trump election were the two things that seemed to put a stopper in it. So it doesn't matter who takes over, everything they do will be wrong. Like the wettest moderate in the Tory party could take over and everything they do will be wrong. I'm fascinated to see it unfold. What I'm interested in is, will this actually increase the popularity of the Tories, or will it have the opposite effect? And it was again the kind of argument they had with Scott Morrison. There were rumours that people were moving to get rid of him and put in Josh Frydenberg because maybe that would help. And they eventually decided not to, and maybe that was a mistake. Remember, they bumped Turnbull and put Morrison in, and the popularity increased and they won an election. So this could be a blessing in disguise for the Tories, even if they do ruin him on Twitter, whoever takes over. Look, I'm fascinated to see what happens, but either way, it's going to be a virtual bloodbath.
Now, we're just running out of time, but we were going to talk about Scrabble and woke Scrabble, but I'll leave that for you next week with Andrew. Andrew Bolt will be back on Monday. Thank you so much for sticking with me and watching over the last 3 weeks. It's been great fun. I've really enjoyed it. I hope that you have too. I will see you on Outsiders Sunday morning at 9 a.m. But I repeat, the big news out of Britain: Boris Johnson is expected to resign. He may even resign during Paul Murray Live.